Most animals are born helpless. You're born a murderer. You'll hatch blind, naked, and barely a few hours old. And your very first task in life will be to kill everyone else in the room, one by one, on purpose. And the strangest part? The grieving parents watching it happen aren't even your parents. Welcome to life as a cuckoo, one of the most brilliant criminals nature has ever produced, and quite possibly the loneliest. Let's start with the obvious problem. You have no idea who your mother is, because the instant she made you, she got rid of you. Your real mother didn't build a nest, didn't keep you warm, and didn't stick around for the birth. She snuck into a complete stranger's nest, dropped you in among their eggs, and vanished. Forever. You're an orphan who doesn't even know he's adopted. And thanks to a clever bit of biology, your egg hatches a little faster than the others, so you arrive first. Which matters a great deal because of what you're about to do to your roommates. Here's where your story turns genuinely grim. Within hours of hatching, still blind, still featherless, unable to even see what you're doing, you get to work. You wriggle underneath one of the host's eggs, balance it in a small hollow on your back, brace your tiny legs against the walls of the nest, and heave it up and over the edge. And then you do it again and again, egg by egg. And if any host chicks have already hatched, chick by chick, you shove every last one of them out to their deaths until you are the only thing left in the nest. It takes you about 3 days to commit a complete family annihilation. You're not even old enough to open your eyes, and you've already cleared the building. Your first life skill isn't walking, and it isn't feeding. It's homicide. This behavior so disturbed and fascinated people that it was first described in detail back in the 1700s by Edward Jenner, the same man who would later invent the world's first vaccine.
You were notorious before there was even a proper word for what you were. But the murder is the easy part. Now you have to sell the lie. Your foster parents have to keep feeding you for about 5 weeks. And here's your problem. You're just one baby, and a full, healthy nest is supposed to be packed with hungry mouths. A single gaping beak shouldn't be worth a whole family's groceries. So you cheat with sound. You produce a rapid, frantic begging call that imitates an entire brood of chicks at once. A week-old cuckoo can beg loudly enough to match the combined noise of a full nest of host young. You're one con artist doing the voices for an entire studio audience. And it works so well that your exhausted foster parents keep shoveling in food, even as you swell to as much as 10 times their size. Picture a tiny warbler standing on the back of a monster several times its length, cramming caterpillars into a beak bigger than its own head. And it never once suspects a thing. So how did your mother pull off the original crime? Laying an egg in someone else's nest sounds simple, but it's a precision heist. She stakes out a target nest from a hidden perch, waits for the owners to leave, then drops in, removes one of their eggs, sometimes eating it, and lays her own in its place. Total time inside, about 10 seconds. She's in and out faster than the homeowners can notice the locks were touched. And her egg is a forgery, patterned to match that specific host's eggs, because each female cuckoo specializes in fooling one particular species. Some females even have a call that mimics a hawk, spooking the host off the nest just long enough to make the drop. A single female can pull this off as many as 24 times in one summer. 24 nests, 24 victims, and not a single chick she'll ever raise herself. But the hosts aren't helpless forever. Over generations, they've learned to fight back, studying their own eggs, puncturing the fakes, and mobbing any cuckoo they catch lurking. You are locked in an evolutionary arms race, and every generation, your marks get a little harder to fool. Now here's the part that's genuinely eerie. You were raised by a warbler. You only ever heard warbler songs. You only ever saw warbler parents. And yet, somehow, you know you're not a warbler. Nobody tells you, nobody shows you. You instinctively know your own species' call. You know you're a cuckoo, and you know, without a single lesson, that you're supposed to fly thousands of kilometers to the rainforests of Central Africa. You got no childhood, no role models, and no family reunion. Just a set of genetic instructions and a one-way ticket. You're the only one in your nest who knows what you are, and there's no one of your kind anywhere near you to share it with. As an adult, your life doesn't exactly fill up with companionship either. Cuckoos are loners. There's no cozy pair bond, no shared nest, no raising chicks together. The males announce themselves with that famous two-note cuckoo, the sound everyone on Earth associates with spring, and then everyone goes their separate way. And if you're a female, you grow up to commit the exact same crime that was committed against you, hunting down the nests of the very species that raised you, dumping your eggs, and disappearing. It's the cycle of abuse, but with feathers and an instruction manual baked into your DNA. And then comes the loneliest journey of all. At the end of summer, the adult cuckoos leave first, often gone by the end of June, their season of crime complete. They do not wait for the kids. So a few weeks later, you, a young cuckoo who has never met another cuckoo in your life, set off entirely alone. You fly south across Europe, across the Mediterranean, and then across the Sahara Desert, navigating by the stars and the Earth's magnetic field.
No map, no guide, no parents, no flock. Just instinct and a very, very large desert. And a great many young cuckoos do not survive that crossing. Satellite tracking has shown that the exact route a cuckoo happens to take can be the difference between life and death. Whole populations rise or fall depending on who makes it across the sand. So, here's how your story most often ends. Somewhere over a desert you've never seen, alone, on a journey no one ever taught you to make, your strength simply runs out. And that's it. You were born alone in a stranger's nest. You committed your crimes alone. You migrated alone. And you will almost certainly die without ever having met a single member of your own family. So, say your goodbyes, to no one in particular, and let the sand take you. The perfect criminal, undone by an empty sky. And here's the final irony. For all its ruthless genius, the cuckoo is now in serious trouble. In places like Britain, common cuckoo numbers have crashed, and the bird now sits on the conservation red list. Too many are dying on migration, the host birds they rely on are declining, and the insects they feed on are vanishing. The most successful cheat in the entire natural world is quietly losing the longest con of all. For thousands of years, that simple two-note call has been the sound that tells us spring has finally arrived. And it would be a strange and genuinely sad silence if one year, the cuckoo simply stopped calling.